Okay, the pasuk says, "Vayemer Moshe Elokim, Hinei Anochi ba bnei Yisrael, v'marta lem Elohei v'shechem shalchani alechem. V'amru li mashmo, ma omar lehem, v'yomer lehim el Moshe Ehyeh asher Ehyeh, v'yomer ko tamar bnei Yisrael Ehyeh shalchani alechem." Let's understand what exactly was the dialogue here. So we're going to read a few pieces of Ramban first of all. But Lamais, let's get the who we talking about and what's the question. We're taking for granted that the people, the Jews in Egypt were basically pagans, and they basically, except for Shevet Levi, didn't even really have a belief in a monotheistic God. They worshipped the deities of Egypt. That's for Russian. Read the pasuk. I remember we once discussed the whole parak in Yechezkel on that. They were not monotheistic at all. They knew there was a God, but once again, as an ancient Avodah Zarah, they didn't deny there was the God creator, but their medium of interaction was not with him, but rather through the intermediaries, which were, I don't know what, different constellations. The constellation of Egypt was the sheep. Aries, actually, that's what it is. So, but that you could read Rambam Hilchos Avodah Zarah Perek Aleph, which elaborates on the dynamics of Avodah Zarah in the ancient times. They believed in the Creator. They believed in an infinite God. They didn't think that the local constellation created the world. It's understood. It's a constellation, but it is a sar. It's an important medium, a tool through which God interacts with the world. And they did not want to have a direct relationship with the overwhelming God. They chose to have an indirect relationship through honoring his ministers, or whatever you're going to call it. And the only difference is they gave independent meaning to those ministers, almost like Bali B'chira. We see it as like you want to bow down to a chisel and a hammer, it's okay with me, you know what I mean? But it's a bit awkward. But that's the machlokes. That was the mistake given there. That's the basis behind it. So let's understand. So Yisrael Ohev Avodah Zarah. And he, Moshe Rabbeinu, very interesting to know how this happened, but he was a Navi by then. Not only was he a Navi, this is already after the story with the snare. He was already attained the highest level of Nevuah. The Ramban discusses this in the previous prakim by the snare, that before the snare he had a lower level of Nevuah. From the snare and further, it was a getter of his Aspaklaria HaMeirah. He had attained at that level of prophecy more than any other prophet will ever have or ever had or will have in history. When you have one of the Ikri Amunas, like you come, there's no one can be like Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Rambam elaborates on that in Perek Ches and Perek Zayin of Yesodei Torah. Well, I'll read it. He has a very unique type of prophecy, which is beyond any, and it's a unique reality. The lashon of the Rambam is mashma. God created that type of a person, which could be that type of a prophet. The lashon is Asa Moshe Rabbeinu Rabban Shel Neviim. He had to make him. You know, it's a reality. You always wonder, like, where did this guy learn? Until the age of 20, he grew up in Hugh Hefner's palace in Chicago. In whatever it's called, in Mitzrayim, Erevas Haaretz, right? Until the age of 3, he was being suckled by his mother. I don't think he went too much Torah till the age of 3. Okay, Naniach Epis, but Nevuah. You know what Nevuah is? Maybe you should read Rambam Perek Zayin and see what Nevuah is. To get to Nevuah, you have to be like humongous. Now, where did he pick all this up? Did you ever bother by that? It's very frightening. It's impossible. How could it be? And the answer is, it's very, well, you just want to know, if you look up Targum Yonason, Ben Uziel on the snare, and you'd be surprised who he saw there. According to Targum Yonason, he saw his teacher. His teacher was a certain malach, which is called Sar HaTorah. If you hear Sar HaTorah, this is the real one. Okay? Not from the politics. This is the real Sar HaTorah. Sar HaTorah, there's a Bechol, Gabriel, etc. There's a malach, B'muna Allah Chachma. And he, once again, I didn't get it. God sent it to him because God, for whatever reason, he was created to have this, and God sent him a teacher. He had a teacher, not, Yankel Ber or Shmuel Ber, from the horse's mouth per se. He didn't get Peh Daber Boy. That happens later at Sinai, but beforehand he got the one stage before it. Sarah Torah. It's interesting to know. Yes, he was created. I want you to understand. Why was he zeichetiv to? Many people are created for potential, but until they get where they get, they have to do a little work. So obviously he did what it took to be able to have the Siyata D'Shmaya and this lesser intervention to realize his potential. He could have definitely not to realize his potential. He was a Baal Bechira, let's face it. So there is greatness in him, which we discussed last year on Friday night. But at the end of the day, that's who he was. So we're talking about a tremendously wise person, which according to Rambam, you don't have prophecy unless, first of all, you're a master of all disciplines. And when you see reality, you see through all the multiple disciplines possible to you. He didn't have clarity in all of them. The Rambam writes somewhere in the Nevuchim that when he asked, Arei noes drachecha, he wanted to basically have a PhD in all the sciences and all the disciplines, period. He wanted perfection and everything, and he got it there. That's when he got his multiple PhD in everything, every science possible. Rambam Nevuchim describes that, because in order to really understand God, you have to understand also God's handiwork, and then you understand the Chachma. And if unless you know those sciences, you don't know the handiwork, you don't know the Chachma, so you're missing a dimension of Yediyas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's interesting, okay? So Rambam Taka said that Moshe Rabbeinu was, I would say, the first rabbi doctor. Okay? I remember Reb Chatzkel Sarna once said about somebody, he says he's a rabbi doctor. That means if a rabbi is a doctor, that means the rabbi's sick. I mean, he's a doctor next to him. So that was a joke. Okay, he was talking about Weinberg's. He was a healthy doctor because he was his chavrusa, you understand? So, but at the end of the day, Moshe Rabbeinu had this unbelievable knowledge. Now, he didn't get that totally at this stage yet, but definitely be right to any nevuah you had to be able to see, as the Lashon of the Rambam is mitabu ha'aretz ad kisei hakavod. You have to be able to see all that, which is way beyond the scope of most people that even dream about, okay? And that's what every prophet had to be. That was the prophecy before the Harei Nos Drachecha and before the Aspakleria HaMeira. That's just what the Sarah Torah prior to the Sneh. So that's what we're talking about. This is already post-Sneh. This is Gavra de Mustafina. So obviously he's asking something he doesn't know. He's asking something he doesn't know. There's a certain amount of Yediyas Elokim he doesn't know yet, which is granted. There are many things he had what to learn, not Matan Torah. Okay? No. But the thing is, what he's saying over here, V'amali mashmo, that's their problem. Hey, what's his name? What do you want to look him up in the telephone book? Was meint this? What's his name? What do you mean? What's the difference? His name's Joe. Now what? The name is a certain description of his Hanaga. And they want to understand the God that you're talking about, with what hanhaga is he noig with us? Like, what's his mode of behavior? You have different names of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which are basically, you have different names of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which each one of them means something else. Yud Kei Vav Kei means the ongoing source of creation, as we once discussed way back then, or according to Mer Nevuchim, that's the Shem HaMefarish of God Be'atzmius. Machlokes, basically Rambam against everybody else. All the other names of Kadosh Baruch Hu are describing his pu'ulos. They're describing him in interaction with the world. Keil, Rachum, Chanun, Shakai, Tzvokos. All these different things are describing him in interaction with creation. That's why all these different names, you can add a Yud Nun Vav to it. Elokeinu, Adoneinu, etc. Because they are names which you deal with relationship with. So he's mine, he's yours, etc. Elohei, Elokim. So Elokim means Lord. So my Lord is Elokai, your Lord is Elokecha, Elokeinu, etc. Okay? When Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's no shiyuch to. Because we're not talking about him in interaction, we're talking about him in essence. Granted that we don't, I would say normative Judaism does not accept that Yud Kei Vav Kei means God in essence, because in essence, infinity in essence can't have a description by definition, so there's really no name, which you could say eggs. It's meaningless. So, and if a name is somewhat descriptive or has any meaning, infinity can't have meaning. It defies meaning for its pre-logic. So therefore, by definition, I pointed already in past times that Chachmei Kabbalah basically explain. This is Reb David Luria elaborates on this in Pirkei Rebbe in Zagos, the Pirkei Rebbe Lazar and Bereshis. One day you read the book. So it means to say the source of reality. What does that mean? Infinity, which shows to express itself in a mode of behavior called source of reality. That source of reality has a name. But that's not the essential God. The essential God is infinite. Infinity expressed itself in a certain, shall we say, finite form called creator. Source of. Kabbalah kochos kulam. All that is already finite ideas. If you can think about them, it means that the thought is finite. That original thought, what we call, I once described this in a class, I'm not going to do it, what's called atzilut. the original creation of a Godhead, which is an interactive persona, which creates that which is now interacts with, that's called Yud Kei Vav Kei. So when you're talking about the primary fountainhead of reality, you call it Yud Kei Vav Kei. We discussed it. When you talk about the former who creates form in that primary matter of reality, we call that Elokim. I once discussed this. Elokim means form, and the primary source of the primary substance, the primary matter, is called Yud Kei Vav Kei, which he brings out into reality, Shemayim V'Aretz. I remember discussing this at length at one time. We're not going to do it now. So let's understand. So we talk about shame. Which name are we talking about? We're talking about what hanhaga are you going to do with us? Like, okay, I want to know, how we're supposed to relate to you. Until now, we relate to the dog and the cat, or Aries, whatever it is, and we didn't even relate to you. Okay, you want us to relate to this man, to this God, okay? Give us a name. Give us some kind of description. Let's say you want to dive into Midas Arachman, okay, or something like that. Now, what do they want? Now, why do they need to have a name? Were they philosophers to want to know what their hanhaga was? What do they want? My nafkamina, you either believe he's going to do it or not. What is a nafkamina to know the name? Well, logically speaking, the only nafkamina to know is because if you want to have an interaction with it, you want to know what you're focusing on. People ask me, what is God that you dive into? Serious question, okay? Are you diving to the God of infinity? Are you diving to Yud Kei Vav Kei, Elokim? What are different shemos? What are you diving into? It's interesting, Chuvas HaRivash, okay, which discusses this question, and he says basically that Lamaisa, you should mechaven to Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is kol shemos, okay? Whatever, it's everything. He says all these different names, what are they? Keil, Rachmim, Chanun, all these different names, they're different hanhagas of Yud Kei Vav Kei as expressed in different modes of behavior. So instead of this dealing with, if you knew exactly which mode of behavior you wanted to be mechaven to, that would be better. But you don't know. So Daven to Yud Kei Vav Kei, let him figure out what post box to put the message in, you know. It's like you're sending it to post restant, you know what I mean? You're putting a POB, you know, let the post office put it in the right box. He says that's what you do, but people are mechaven and shameless, if you see. There's different, every time Yud Kei Vav Kei in different midos has different nikudas. You probably never saw this, okay? And then these different nikudas are parallel to different midos and anhagos. Okay, you find this in these sidurim that they use in Shar Shemayim or something like that. Over there, you find them there. Okay, Shar Shemayim is the Rehov Rashi in Yerushalayim. Teretz says, but I don't know this. You don't know that. So what do? You give up. That's what Yud Kei Vav Kei is expressed in Midas HaChesed, Midas HaGvura, and you have to be able to constantly b'chav in different kavanas to know what you're asking for. And if you do it, it goes faster, so to speak. You know, it's like having a direct relation, pressing the right button, okay? What happens if you don't know which button to press, like you and me? I don't know. There's an atomic reactor there. I know what to press. May press the wrong thing, it'll blow up in my face. But you just press the electricity, and then, God himself knows where to put it. The variance in Chuvas HaRivash, I saw this ages ago. The one who brings this, there's a Kuntris Atfila, Sherish Mitzvahs Atfila, by the Tzemach Tzedek, written in his book Derech Mitzvah. It's a very long kuntris. So I think that if you read the first 2-3 prakim, that's what he relates to, he deals with over there. If that's not, I'm just giving you a maramakim off the bat. So l'chaira, when I look at the pasuk, it almost says, listen, they want to know, okay, who are we dealing with? Who do we daven to? Then this makes sense. Otherwise, I'm not sure what this makes sense for. What's this idea of who's God? His name's John. Did you ever ask, which Mida is God going to redeem? You're in hell now, right? You want out. This guy's saying he's taking you out. What's his plan? I mean, what is this? You think you're for 2 minutes. It's pathetic. You say thank you and shut up. Just get out. Do what you have to do and then start tunneling. I don't know what it is. It's a never pasha. They understood that this is shaykh to a certain relationship between them and God. They didn't have one. They never davened to him. Okay, they didn't have a name for anything. They didn't know. Like you also don't. You know Yud Kei Vav Kei. At least he told you that. Okay, but how do you know? They didn't know. They were 210 years in the sewer. Okay, they were totally assimilated. How would they know? The God of our forefathers. That's really supposed to start. Not sure what your name is, but no, Abe's old God. Remember the guy back up there? Okay, so obviously they understood that having a direct relationship with God requires a certain knowledge of God. That's what I need to understand here. I'm saying here that tefillah demands a certain knowledge in front of who you're standing and who you're talking to. And this seems to be coming out of this pasuk. That one of the ideas of tefillah is who are you talking to? It almost looks like the extent of the amount of havana of who you're talking to, maybe the extent of that tefillah will work or won't work. You have to chap. If you understand then you can understand what goes further. And that's a very important yesod coming out of this pasuk in Chumash. Now the Ramban elaborates a few things. So you're going to see a few pieces just to get it in context. Go on the right column, the last paragraph, we'll start with there. Normally, av b'chokhmah, he didn't say rach b'shanim, thank God, because he was like 80-ish. But av b'chokhmah, he was a major player in chokhmah. Yeah, he did. He knew a lot. Very clear. Once he was after the sneh, he really knew a lot. Gadol b'malat hanvuah, I can add the word the hagadol b'malat hanvuah. That's the honest truth. ודרך שאלה ביקש יודעהו מי השולח אותו. כלומר, באיזה מידה הוא שלוח עליהם. So it's so interesting, he really wanted for himself. I want to understand who's sending me. With you I have a relationship. I want to understand in which midah. Why do you want to understand? Hypothetically, you could say, because as Ramon points out, that many nevuos are there just to enhance Yediyas Elokim. Most nevuos are private, they're not being recorded. Only nevuah she'utzach aladoros nichtava. We learned that Gemara Megillah a few times for tshuva and for Torah. Otherwise, most nevuahs are to enhance the understanding of the prophet. He should be mekayim the mitzvah of da'es elokei avicha. Yeah, I know him. Anoich Hashem elokecha. The Rambam says in Sefer HaMitzvahs, primary mitzvah is to know. No, understand as much as humanly can. There's actually a mitzvah to do his knowledge as much as possible. Rambam points out that you should only do this after you finish the basic davar katan, which are all of the havayis of Ba'i v'Rava. Because before you finished all the havayis of Ba'i v'Rava, you don't have what's called yishur hamoyach v'alev. Remember that Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, Rash Baran, etc. We had a dessert and the other, but you have to finish the books. 20 volumes are quite small. I understand Britannica is bigger. I just want to point that out, okay? And the way you guys do Bukiyas, you could have finished in 2 years at minimum. I mean, what is it? Just speed reading, okay? You know how many siyumim they make in Rishis? Unbelievable. The guys make siyumim left and right. There's a night there, Leil Purim, someone comes, and they finish the begin and end all of Masechtas Megillah. My son does it also in OJ. He sits down, Leil Purim, they go, and they finish, L'Chavet Shachas, they make a siyum. But the problem, he knows how to read, and he knows he probably learned it like 50 times, so does it. Big deal, you know what I mean? Not much. Okay, but basically, it's the Rambam. That's davar katan. Rambam points out even a flathead can understand Gemara. So he writes literally, Baal Moyach, Baal De'ah Rechava, De'ah Chtzara. Women, men, he points out, women should be able to know Gemara. I think he's right. So this is basically, you hear the Rambam advocating women learning Gemara? It's for sure Rambam. And which we don't usually advertise. I mean, I do, but they don't. Okay, so basically it's the first Rambam in Perik Dalet Sodat Torah. So first you have to finish Havayis Bavarava, and then you have to graduate and do Davar Gadol. It's Ma'aser Merkava and Ma'aser Bereshis that we discussed that today. That's exactly what Maimonides writes. Okay, because he believed that the perfect person is the person which is, as I said, mitabo oretz ad kisei hakavod. He says, so why did I tell you the first start Gemara? Because that's miyasher es hamoyach ves halev. V'hu ha'toiva g'doila shenosel lanu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. With this, we're going to be noichel chayei olam haba. So first of all, self-centered. It's worth it for you. You're going to get chayei olam haba, which according to Rambam simply means, and through that you'll get the more knowledge. That's what chayei olam haba is. If you do this well, you'll get into the PhD course of knowledge of God. So that's Aleph. That's a toiva g'doila. And by the way, it also creates a human being which knows how to think and analyze. So I think that actually depends today on how you learn. But at least during the times of Rambam, which was Svar Yeshua was the name of the game, so it's very clear that if you knew Shas, you had Yeshua Amayich Vasalev. Think of it for 2 moments, So I don't understand. It doesn't work with all the Cheftzes and Gavras that I know. That's all Akmumius Shibalev. I don't understand that. How do you get from there? That's a Yeshua Amayich Vasalev. That's a Chais. Ich weiß, the Rambam had another derech. Okay? Everyone goes to a different derech. So he had another derech. Okay, so whatever it be, he clearly means disciplined thought with intellectual honesty. That's Yeshua Amayich Vasalev. Okay? You don't have netius away. Your heart is straight. You don't have I wanted to say this. You ever feel like, shit, agenda people. People have an agenda. You have a preconceived notion. That must be what the Raj was thinking about. Oh, yeah, okay. Why? Because it fits with what? With your preconceived notion, you 18-year-old nincompoop? Go use some acne medicine. You know what I mean? Do me a favor. You know what I mean? Maybe you should shave the little fur under your nose. Relax on me. I've seen too many of them. Okay, but Narishkeit, intellectual honesty without an agenda. Cool. That means just what does it say? What did he mean? Okay, what does it say? What did the author mean? Do your best. Maybe you should do studies in history of Nardo and Pumbedisa to understand the Bible a bit better. Could be. Maybe. Obviously, the Rishonim didn't think so. We're going to follow what the Rishonim thought we should do. But at the end of the day, that's where the game begins and ends. So that's Yeshua Amayich Vasalev. I understand that. So he was in Av B'Chachman, and therefore he the goal is to understand this, to do what? He wants to understand Yidei Salukim. Because that's the goal of it all, as the Rambam says. You do this to get to Yidei Salukim. So he was an Av B'Chachma, so he simply wanted to know. Klomar be'ezem midah u'shaluach elav, ki ein shama yesher v'ata Hashem Elokim shlacheni v'rucho, etc. Hinei ama yishaluni al shlichuti, im hi b'midas kel shakai, he sha'amda la'avos, o b'midas rachamim elyonim, she'taseh ba'otot u'mavtim u'chodashim b'yitzirah. What does he want to know? He wants to understand. So first he started by saying he wants to know who sends him. Then he says, it's not just I want to know. You're curious. It's very nice. Why are you pulling it on them? He says, no, because they're also going to, interesting, these Bala Avodah, they're going to ask, ich will wissen, welche Midah they're going to do with it. Like, can we get a preview of the fireworks, okay? Is it going to be with just Kel Shakai, which is working through the Olam HaTeva? Shakai means Shaddai, enough. Misha Omer Lo'olam Dai, which means limitations within Teva. The world was created b'shkel shakai, as the Medrash writes, that so to speak, the world was unfolding into reality, and God felt it was going enough. It has to stop. Creation has to stop. He said, "Die," and that's the name of Shaddai. Misha Amar Lo Olamo Die. And when He created Die, that's when Shabbos was created. So you want to know, Shabbos is the culmination of activity. Die, enough activity. That's all it is. So it's creating the boundaries of reality. Okay, is the Geula going to be through the boundaries of natural reality, or is it going to be with fireworks? Is it going to be a supernatural phenomenon, which is Rachman Merubim, which is more than Rachman means I'm giving you more than the limitations. Okay, it's very extensive. So he says Rachman El Yainim Oises Umayvsim Mechudoshim Bayitzira. Why did he ask this? Bavur Shamar Lo Anochi Elohei Avicha Elohei Avraham, etc. He didn't say which Hanhaga, he just said, he gave him a name. He did understand because he had told him there's going to be a Matan Torah in a Har Sinai. Interesting, and he did know. Why? Because he's this big prophet. It will not be given with Kel Shakai, with Teva. It will be given with the Sibas HaYitzira, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Al Ken Shal Ma Amar Lehem. Now the question obviously is, why is it important for them to know? It doesn't answer anything. Okay, but why would they ask? And why is it important? He obviously is prepared for this question. It seems to be important for them to know. Why is it important for them to know? First of all, why would they ask? Al-Koch has got to be something, yes, they understand that in our relationship with God, we have to know who we're dealing with. And he's going to expecting this question, and therefore he really wants to know. Are we talking about Rachman Merubim, or are we talking Kel Shakai? You're talking Sibus HaYitzir, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is basically the source of Rachman Merubim, because you're the source of it all. Therefore, you're not bound by what you made, and you can go beyond Gvulos. That's Rachman Merubim. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Or are you talking about Yud Kei Vav Kei as expressed in Kel Shakai, which is that same Sibus HaYitzir, which created limitations? All the Shemos are Yud Kei Vav Kei expressed in. I always remember that. So he hasn't really explained why. He's just told us what he's asked. He hasn't explained why would they ask. He hasn't said that. I understand why he was curious, but by pushing it on the Shvatim, on the Jews, he's saying, no, actually, I need this practically because they're going to want to know. Rabbi, and he couldn't just tell them, what's the difference? It's interesting. In other words, he understood it's important for them to know. It's not just they're curious, it's important for them to know. And now, hey, since it's important for them to know, in other words, if you want a relation with them, they have to know who you are. This is obviously what it means. Okay? Well, hello, what is it? Who are they dealing with? Usually it's the same name, actually, just one's a little more Greek and one's Hebrew. You know, Shimon said the name of Simon. Amar Moshe, Atid ani la'asot sarsur ben chol beinehem. I plan to be the middleman one day between you and them. Where at Matan Torah? Moshe daber v'elokim yanan b'kol. What are you going to say to them? Anochi avaya lokecha. I know that because I know you told me about Matan Torah. So I know about Yochi avaya lokecha. Elokei avotechem shelchani alechem. Oto shah, no, what is it? Adkan. Elokei avotechem shelchani alechem. Boto shah nidbareh moshal asakav. What does that mean? Shenitiyareh im yeshalu lo mashmo ma amar lehem. Boto shah yam avakesh Moshe shiyodei HaKadosh Baruch Hu et Shem HaGadol. וזה עניין השאלה, הנה אנו אלוקים אכה אשר אהיה עמכם בצורה זו ואהיה אתכם בצורה אחרת. אמר לפניו ריבונו של עולם דיה לצרה בשעתה, אמר לו יפה אמרת, כל תאמר לבני ישראל, etc. This is all quoted in Rashi, it's more in Brachas, Daf Tes. Now what does it mean? This is what I want to hear. כי מוישה אמר לפניו יתברך, אמרו לי מה שמו? שיגיד להם השם שהוא ראה הוראה שלמה על המציאות וההשגחה. Now we're just talking names. I want a name of God, something which we will be introduced to, which will totally encompass the unique character of God, which is what? The fact that he's the ultimate existent. Hametziut means the ultimate existence, as we described in different classes in the past. He's not, he is the reason of it all, and there's no reason for him. He exists not as an expression of X, but he is X, and everything is expression of him. And what we learned in Rambam and Perik Aleph Yisodi HaTorah Halacha Beis, that if God would not be, naught would be, but everything could not be, but God will be. For he is not dependent on anything, and everything is dependent as an expression of his will. Lashon HaRambam and Perik Aleph Halacha Beis or Gimel. Okay, so therefore we understand. First of all, I want a name which will describe ultimate existent, and also al hashgacha. I want the ultimate existent is not just a reason, the intelligent designer, but he's involved in the day-to-day reality. I need ultimate existent, reason of all, which is involved in the today. Okay. Now, why does he want? That's what they want. Now, the question is, why does he want that? I'm not sure. We still haven't answered. We live in description of what he wants, but it's that lama. Who needs this? Amulo mashmo shiagid lehem. They're going to ask him what's his name. Shiagid lehem Hashem shireh or Ashleimar Amtziut v'Hashgacha. V'Hakadosh Baruch Hu yishivo. Lama ze yishalu lishmi. Why do they need my name? In other words, why do they need all these different philosophical understandings? When you say a name, it's not just a word. He gave them the whole 25 volumes to explain what the name is. When you want someone Kadosh Baruch Hu, he gives the Torah Shem the Baal Peh. It means that they wanted a course. They want to understand. Give me a name of God and explain to me how this is basically Moira al Hashgacha v'al Yichud. They wanted basically, you want us to get involved in this God. What is this? They wouldn't know. They didn't have what you have. You have the basic tradition. You don't know what it is. You say two yuds in a siddur. It means God, and your eyes roll. And you scream Echad and Krishma, and you're happy, right? That's what we picked up in camp. You're together with Gedalia Gumper. I don't know what. You picked up Gedalia Gumper. You picked up God. It's all the same. Ain't going to work on Saturday. That's all you know. What's the difference? Okay? They didn't have that. They were pagans. You want basically to introduce us to something which is a relic of history. We have no clue what it's about. The Lashon Rambam, everyone had forgotten this, except for Shevet Levi. Obviously, he come to a conclusion that Shevet Levi was not very sociable. You have to come to that conclusion, because if everyone forgot, if Shevet Levi would be more like Eish Torah people, they'd be going out and doing, discovery programs, going to KBY and Hanukkah or things like that. No, they stood in their cloisters over there in their cloistered base medrash, and they had their own Tevas Noach, and they obviously were not dealing with the world around them. I mean, right? Isn't that the norm? How else would you understand it? If you have a whole Shevet Levi there, why aren't they walking around, saying like Chabadsker is, or whatever it is, going around doing things, no. Let the world sing. We're worry about some other time. It paid off for them. By the way, I figured, whatever. I don't understand how it's possibly done. They should have learned by then by Noach that you don't do things like that. I don't know. This is however I always was bothered with, but I'm bothered by a lot of things. But I don't have a clear tefisa of what the anhagi here was over here, because I don't find anywhere in Chazal a taina on this. It's really, very interesting. I find tainas anoyach. In Chazal, they hatchet the guy. Okay? But I find no tainas on Shevet Levi. Don't understand. Why? Think of it. Food for thought. Just don't bellyache me. Show me something which is like real. Okay? You could say X, you could say Y, but if you could also not say X and not say Y, so don't say it. Okay? What does this mean? So it's very clear they were not going to introduce them to a God unless they understand what they're getting into. So obviously, you're telling me there's a God which is the source of all, therefore why be subjugated to all these different demigods that we have? Give me the source of all. Okay, but you're telling me he's going to intervene in reality. You just told me a second thing. Not only is there a creator, source of all, but he cares about everything? How do I know this? It is something very far, because basically in ancient pagan times they didn't believe that. They believe that the God is so involved if there's a creator up there, but he doesn't do with that. Down here, he administers to the sun, the moon, and the constellations. You're telling me that the source of all is Mikimi, Mi-Ofer Dol, Mi-Ash, Mi-Siorim, Evyon. Are you kidding? They understood Rama, Kogoyim, Hashem, Ala Shamayim, Kevoidoi. Yeah, he's up there. We say, Mika, Hashem, Elokim, Magbil, Hashavis, Hamashpili, Lirot, Bashamayim, V'aretz. That's very new in that time and era. He's up there, he's a Shemaim Kisi Varetz Adom Raglite. That's a Chiddush Atzum. So they want to understand who's this God you're introducing us to. Now, is it just a theological question? It's a possibility, because they're being reintroduced to monotheism. They're reintroduced to a new idea. It took them a long time to settle with it, as we discussed in the past shiurim. But at the end of the day, they're being reintroduced. This is the new one. So he simply says, they're going to ask me this question. What does he say? So God understands that they need this to feel comfortable. It's not pure theology. Like always, people ask me questions in Ashkafa. I want to know what they need a fig leaf for a certain chisorin, and they need me to feather bed their chisorin with a certain comforting kalabachi and chazal. Okay, so tell me your chisorin, I'll clean out the pus, and then we'll talk the truth. No. No one does that. They try to ask me hashkafa problems. It's like, what's her name? You know what I mean? We know that. It's nothing new in my experience of chinuch. Okay, what really is bothering you? Since when are you a philosopher? When's the last time you read Kierkegaard? Do me a favor. Okay, you want to hit them for something, so you need a God which will sing the right song. Okay, let's see if we can do it. You know what I mean? But tell me what the issue is. That's the honest truth. So this is what Kadosh Baruch Hu says to them. Listen to this carefully. Don't give me the philosophy. I will always be there for them, and they will see it. And that's the ultimate proof that I will always be there for them. They will see it. That means I care about them. And if I can do anything to save them, that means I have limitations. That means there's no laws defining me, because I'm the source of everything. You want the ultimate raya? So he says, don't go into philosophical discourses. Promise them this, it'll be an experiential reality. It's something like saying, you really want a PhD in philosophy? Forget it. You want a experiential truth. I understand that. Especially in the beginnings of reality, most people don't really want to know the cold thinking philosophy. They want to identify with something, feel good about something, right? Let's be honest, okay? So I want to, simply תחבר ל, okay? צריכים להתחבר, okay? אז פה חבוב ל, תתחבר לזה, מבטיח לך, whenever you'll be taken care of. It happened for that generation. For that generation, they went through a hell of a lot, but there was Lord at their side, and they were nasty. He belted them. Wow, okay? And they were sweet. Yeah, he took care of them for 38 years in the desert. They were partying. He was their private cleaner, air conditioner, chef. They took care of everything. It couldn't be better. They were in paradise. To the extent that some of the Hasidic masters say they didn't want to leave. That was the whole story of the Meraglim. Well, we have to go to work? I'm enjoying this, you know what I mean? They were very happy in the desert for 38 years. The last 6 months, they didn't do too well. Because as soon as they walked a little bit out of the koil and they met the Midianite ladies, they weren't trained for that, and they lost it. Balpor, Ayin Sham, Tinzanachas. And the first 2 years, that's Chumash Bamidbar, they were angry and frustrated, but that's 2 years out of 38 years of silence. It's a machaya. It really did well. So it's like going to an anti, it's like a deprogramming. They had to detox for 2 years, and then it was quiet. The problem is they didn't have the tools yet. I guess they didn't finish yet. They didn't have the tools to take it to the next stage. That was a bit of a problem there. And overall, it took still quite a while until everything settled. Actually, till the end of Sefer Shoftim, until it finally settled. So this is what he tells them. He says, you don't need philosophy. Rather, kol tzarasam ikreim ve'enem. V'hi haraya gdola sheyesh Elohim b'Yisrael krovim eleinu b'chol karenu elav. V'yesh Elohim shofti ba'aretz. V'zeh pirush nachon b'agadazu. He says, in other words, it was all a question of how can I experience this new God of yours? No, I want to know it. So the question was, I want to know him, which obviously meant I want to have some philosophical understanding. And God says to listen, boys, at your stage, what's enough for you? You're asking for, what's enough for you is experiencing this. It's like saying, you don't understand it, inhale it. Okay? Many times I experienced that reality. First inhale it, smell it, touch it, feel it, and then you get used to it, you feel comfortable with it, then suddenly you can start using your scalpel again to cut it, to form it. First, relax, don't take away your negatives. Many times, as a teacher, you say ideas which immediately bring up opposition. Yeah, why is it opposition? Because it doesn't fit with anything the guy did for 3 days in Seder. Okay, who cares, okay? Or it doesn't fit with what I heard there, I didn't hear that. Why would anybody care? Me, I couldn't care less. Okay? Okay, so first of all, I have to spend 2 days of answering questions. Okay? Okay, once I have to eat, so sometimes I just quelch the opposition, steamroller over it. Don't bother me. And sometimes I'm nice, so a few days I explain, answer questions, I smile, I go back and forth. You know what I mean, Ari, okay? And then finally I seduced you enough, now think! Okay, so sometimes it goes with oinis pitui. It starts with Mitzi Shemra. They're Mitzi Shemra. They have to do Einus and then Pitui, and then sometimes they do Pitui before Einus. It depends, but at the end of the day, it works. It's V'lo yisiyah le'isha. Okay? And you can't divorce afterwards. You're stuck with it. But wait, this is the Tzur Salimut. So this is what he's telling them. He's telling them, listen, don't ask for PhDs. You're going to experience this in your davening. It's when you're going to ask, it's going to happen. It's when you're going to ask, it's going to happen. And this is the Raya Gdoila Moed. I just want to point out that Lamais is a very interesting Ramban. I don't think I have it here. Yeah, here, I'll show you see here also. The Ramban writes, in the second Ramban you have in the second page, right column, it says over there, V'yom ha'shlichu arza v'yashlichu arza. You're talking by the Nachash, by the Simanim, by Moshe Rabbeinu. Goodness sakes. Why did he do this for Moshe? We're talking about a Navi of high standard by now. Okay, he already went through, this is by the snare. Let's remember the snare, what the Shalah writes on the snare that Reb Chaim Volozhiner mentioned in Nefesh HaChaim and in Ruach Chaim, when it says, Shal na'alecha mi'al raglecha ki adam asher omed alech ad maskoideshu. Just see who it is, because if it's my wife, edit, cut. Who was it? Who? Oh, it doesn't matter. Tell them. It matters, but I can't now. Okay? That's America. Grant. Oh, Grant? Okay. So we have his father. What does he say? Like, why does he need this for? What does Reb Chaim say over there? The Shalah says this. It says, Shal na'alecha mi'al raglecha ki adama sh'tomed alech ad maskodesh. So the question is by Yeshua, it says, Shal na'alcha mi'al raglecha. What does that mean? That Moshe take off 2 shoes and Yeshua take off 1? Zevadai lo apshat. Unless you think so. Possibility. Definitely possibility. Ulai efshar lomar. That he took off 1 shoe and he took off 2 shoes. Why? God's awkward, so he decides to take off 1 shoe, Right? I don't know why. Maybe it's true, Possibility. Definitely there. Oh, there's another possibility, which is probably more logical. Na'alcha means the shoe, and we understand the shoe, the set. Oh, simlascha, na'alcha lo, what's it say over there? By the shoe, it says another lesson. There's twice. One says ragalcha lo b'tzeicha, and then it says na'alcha lo. Oh, so it's na'alcha, only one? Was it na'alecha or na'alcha? Na'alcha. Verstehnish. So na'alcha me'al raglecha. He had 1 major shoe for the whole country, for the whole. So it's basically saying the shoe means the idea of shoe, lav dafka the particular. So what does it mean over here when it says na'alecha? So why do you have to say na'alecha? So say over there you said raglechem or whatever is lashon rabbim on the feet, raglecha, the feet. Okay, so how come over here? How come here it doesn't say raglecha or raglecha? Okay, so obviously it's lashon rabbim. So how come over here it says shal na'alecha mi'al raglecha? Question. Reb Chaim asked the question. The Shalah asked the question. I think he quotes the Shalah. If he doesn't, he should have. So what does he answer? He answers that the pshat is that the Rambam writes that every Navi, when he goes through prophecy, he goes through a major epileptic seizure. Because basically the body awareness is static and doesn't allow him to understand what God wants to show him. He has to go through literary language of koyach haguf koshel, v'da'aton mitarefes, v'ti'er adas, tishe'er adas pluya, lahavin v'lahaskil, ba'marois, etc. You have to lose all sense of body awareness in order not to have static, to really understand the vision. In other words, God's talking, so to speak, to your soul, if we're going to use that word just as a figure of speech at the moment. I'm afraid we both don't, you won't understand what I'm saying, I don't understand what you mean. It doesn't matter, I know what I'm talking about. He's talking to your shorish neshama, and your body is static. Your body awareness is static. So the Navi goes through a major epileptic seizure to basically lose a sense of self, and then somehow he can at least see the visions in metaphoric form. Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't have to go through that, because Moshe Rabbeinu has no sense of body awareness. Totally. He's like one of the angels. That's why he's not sporadic, doesn't up and down. He's constantly ke'echad me'al yoinim, and therefore has total hashgacha pratis with no ups and downs in it. This is all Rambam, not me, okay? And therefore he doesn't have body awareness. So therefore he can talk to God straight ahead. He doesn't even have to see a vision. He literally internalized the words of God, literally. Not that he has to explain what's in the vision and figure it out, which a regular Navi does even after that seizure. Here, God infuses his words into him. Why is that? Because he has no body awareness. He dropped it a long time ago. Where's the place that he dropped it? So the shalah, that the snare. Shal na'alecha mi'araglecha, not just the regular shoes, but also the shoe, the body. He says the neshama, it starts with shmeish morim, and there's different diagrams. The nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechidu. We once discussed this in the class. The lower level of the neshama is expressed in the body. It's almost like a stature in which the bottom of it is enveloped in skin called the body. So he says, so the body is like the shoe, and that the lowest level of the neshama, which is called nefesh, that's, once described that I think at length, nefesh means the expression of the soul, which is a life force, okay, that's expressed in the body. So take your shoe off, take your body off from your nefesh. Free your nefesh from the body, equals in your awareness, and then mamela, we can talk. So shal na lechem araglecha is not just shoes, or, the shoes off your feet. It means taking the shoes off the feet of the neshama equals the lowest level of the neshama, which is nefesh. Free nefesh from the body awareness. There are levels of the neshama which are not even expressed in the body. Neshama, chaya, yechid, the three dagas of neshama which are not even expressed in the body. That's why you say neshama shenasat to be Torah hi. You don't say Torah haita. The answer is because it doesn't experience sin either. If sin is experienced in nefesh and ruach, which means your life force and your emotional persona. Very much so. Neshama hovers above. It's another daga, not expressed in the guf. It doesn't come expressed directly in the guf. That's why it's still Torah. It's also Reb Chaim Volosher and Nefesh Chaim and also Tanya. So this is an olive base of Yiddishkeit. So he told him, take off the shoe from that foot of your neshama, which is nefesh and ruach. That's why. So Moshe Rabbeinu took off two shoes. Yeshua, didn't have that level. He didn't just take off his body awareness. He had to go through an epileptic seizure like everybody else. Come and go. He was sporadic. He didn't have the constant hashgacha pratis like Moshe Rabbeinu. He wasn't ke'echad ha'el yoinim. All this is Lashon HaRambam, Yemos Street, Perik Zayin, Perik Ches Yisod HaTorah. He wasn't like malachim ha'imdim lefanav. No way. So he had to, shal nalcho, take your shoe off. After you take your shoe off, you're going to a seizure, then we'll talk about the rest of it. Okay, so that's the nafka. So who are we talking about? We're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. So the question is tremendous. Moshe Rabbeinu is not just a big believer. He is at the highest level of understanding. Again, I repeat, it is not yet the perfection of understanding. His perfection of understanding is explained in Ramban further. It came at Sinai, because that's when God revealed things which were never revealed before of himself. Okay, but hello, we're talking about a big man. What does he need this for? Lama asa osot leMoshe v'chi ma'amin haya Moshe k'shgoch u'medaber imo v'ayaraui sheyomar mateh shebetcho tishlach arza lifneihem v'ayol l'nachosh. Why are you telling me to do it now? You want to do it in front of the Egyptians? They don't know anything. Prove my existence. You need this. It's like a rabbit out of the hat. וכן באויס השני כאשר אמר בשלישי ולקחת מימי היאור וכן נאמנו דברי רבותינו שהיה לו הראשון רמז שסיפר לו לשון הרע, etc. I want to go down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth line, midline. ואולי אף על פי שהודיעו השם הגדול שבו נברא העולם ובו נהיה כל דבר. That's the beginning of Parshas Vayera. Ratzal ar oto ki bo yasu ototum oftim b'shinui atolodah. You know it. You know it theoretically. You know it cerebrally. You know the Shem of Yudke Vavke. So you realize God is going to work outside the constrictions of nature. I want to show it to you. Interesting. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, the prophet of the prophets, the greatest of the greatest, he understands he also needs something visual. Something experiential. The cerebral is not enough. He needs a certain experience of that cerebral to strengthen that, the resolve of that idea. It's very interesting. Okay, and he says, "Leman yitchazek ha'inyan belibo shel Moshe v'yeda be'emet." What does be'emet mean? And before he didn't know be'emes. The answer is yes, he knew be'emes, but it's not called the yediyah. It's a scholar be'emes. A yediyah means when the information becomes tied down to you, becomes vivid to you. It's really vivid. It's more than that. Emes also means, according to Rambam, consistent, everlasting. We once described that. A mayan ha'mechazev is called sporadic spring water, okay? When it's Mayim Chayim, the opposite of Amachaziv is Emes. The Rambam describes that Emes means absolute. I once discussed this in the Shir here at length. here, or Friday night, whatever it was. So that's what he said. He should really know this, not just cerebral intelligence, with emotional intelligence. That's what you're saying. A yeda, chibur, okay, and be'emes. It should really a vivid reality. That's what he wants. Even Moshe Rabbeinu. It's a very big thing you learn here in Hashkafa, that the greatest philosopher, the greatest prophet, also needs a dose of reality. So no one thinks that, that just, but again, a big aside, at the Mittler Rebbe writes Kunter Spilus, no one says you don't need emotion. Chalila, of course we need emotion. We're emotional animals. But you don't create reality with emotion. After you have a verified objective reality, be emotional about it. Now you don't create your comic book vision of God. Oh, I like him. I feel a little bit hastora or something like that. You don't create a God from some song by Yoelish John Doe, whatever, from wherever it be, some Satmachuzit. No, that's not how you create a God. You first learn what God is. And then, if this song is a correct depiction of that God, which isn't, but if it would be, it's a very nice song to be mechazik, to give emotional attachment to the idea. I'm lying on that to explain how that's like off the charts in Judaism. I'm not going there at the moment. It's a nice song. I like it too. Okay, Cardoner sings it in a nice way in Hebrew. But you're asking me, that's what Mitleber writes. You need you can't. Moshe Rabbeinu needed it. Moshe Rabbeinu needs a vividness of reality, but it has to be based, not the Yesod cannot be from the Spilus, the Yesod has to be from the Seichel. The Seichel demands Spilus. The idea demands an emotional involvement with it in order to make it vivid and real. I understand that totally, because the idea is a chaser if it hasn't translated down to your regoshos. But it has to start from an emes, which you don't do to your regoshos. Because I go, that can't be God, because I can't relate to him. I don't understand the sentence, people, I've heard this, that can't be God. Remember I told you the story about I had this student who says, can't be. Why not? My soul tells me so. Oh, God. Does it speak French? Like your soul talks? How often do you talk to it? You should be committed. You know what I mean? Your soul not talking to you, you idiot. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you can't be God because I can't relate to it. I have a hard time relating that way. You really mean it? That's what a Shchai Voinish is? Yeah. I don't feel it that way. You really mean it? You're feeling? I told you, Hargosh is Allah Nida. It's got nothing to do with theology. Okay? No, Argosha. Argosha by a sakin for a shchita, and Argosha by a nida. I know two dinim of Argosha. I don't know any other Argoshas. Okay? So what are we talking about? Argosha is the tool after the idea. It's not the shayrish idea. It's how you're supposed to take the idea and make it into Argoshas. Yeah, no question about it. We need that. And people who think that you're going to exist just pure in the ivory tower of thought, you don't chap that your mamash not oived Hashem. Hey, avoid has to be b'simcha. Big Rambam, Hilchas Lulav, Perik Ches. What does that mean? First, you have to, as I told someone today, first don't think you're an Eved. What Eved means, you're a slave, not an employee. You're definitely not the crown prince. You're a slave. You're not just a slave. You're not avdocha. You're also avdocha ben amosecha. You know what that means? Avdocha means you were a free man, but you gave yourself up. Ben amosecha means I was born into this. I don't know anything else but this. As a slave. That's my identity. Okay? I was born in the hole. My name is Chicken George or whatever it is. And you know what I mean? That's who I am. I don't know who my daddy is, but my mama is, buckwheat Janie or something like that. Okay, and my father probably one of the masses. That's who I am. Avdach ben HaMasechta means I don't have any other identity but that. When you're typhus that you're Avdach ben HaMasechta, you have no other identity but Avdus Hashem. Be very happy with it. Try it. You must love your Avdus. It doesn't mean to say first love your Yiddishkeit, then may be an Eved, because if you want to love your Yiddishkeit alone, you have to be very independent. I feel good about myself. God, no, I've done things. I'm meaningful. I'm purposeful. No. You're an Eved. Get this straight. That's your identity. Now, can you be happy with that? I'd like to see it. That's the Avodas Hashem, to be Sameach and Avdus of Avdocha ben HaMasecha. That's Simcha in Avodas Hashem. People love you the word Hashem, they forget the word Avodas Hashem. Now, avodah doesn't mean you have a vocation. It means you're a slave. Get used to slavery. You don't. Maybe you should like read Roots or something like that. Slavery, okay? Ani avdecha. They sing it's ani avdecha ben amad. Do you ever think what you're saying? I mean, I was born with a chain and a ball. You know what I mean? I don't know anything outside the chain and the ball. You know, I mean, it's like going to New Orleans. I got my chain and my ball. That's all I have. Okay. Born with a chain and a ball. I never knew what it means to have a job without a chain and a ball. And that you're supposed to be sameach with. Try that. Well, no one does that. No, because that doesn't make me happy. So you're not mekayim avodah b'simcha. You're happy. I know other ways to be happy. You want a figment of imagination of God that he's so sweet as butter. And by the way, so is he nice to me? Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes he's quite rough. Very rough. Okay? History, the same God which says Racham V'chan also says Kana v'noikim poiked over dovus al bonim v'bnei bonim. You have selective reading of the Chumash. Okay? It says both things there, right? He can be pretty rough. He has been rough through history. Jewish history, human history, all history. Yeah, okay? He's rough. Yeah, he's also Racham V'chanun. He's also Erech HaPayim. He's also Kana v'noikim. He's also a lot of things. The same God of heaven is the God of hell. Get it straight, okay? The same. We don't have two gods. We're not Persians. We don't have the black hat God and the white hat God, or the bad, the good God. We don't have that. We have one God, okay? So you have to understand. So that's what he's saying. An unbelievable thing here. He's saying that Moshe Rabbeinu needs. He knew it. And he needs it. So Moshe Rabbeinu needs Mifsim. Would you believe it? Moshe Rabbeinu needs Mifsim. I always laugh because when I was a bacher in Lubavitch, whoever heard of Mifsim? Mifsim was for the Polish of Mifsim. We laugh Chassidus, Mifsim. We used to laugh and say, Mifsim, Badlas Mnechom. By the people who are flatheads, they need Mifsim. That's easy. Mifsim, yeah, Dorten, Williamsburg, Dorten, Badlas Mnechom. By uns, Skola, we're learning about, tefillah and this and that, very, punky, elitist thing, but that's what it was. So I remember I heard the story that they once asked about Latanya, why don't you tell Mifsim of the Magdal's is rich? Not that you have Hashem Mifsim, but there's no one to tell a story. If you look carefully, there's no literature on Mifsim of the Magdal's is rich. So, were there Mifsim there? So the Balatanya said, I heard this from my Rebbe Rabbi. He says, are you kidding? The Mifsim were rolling under the table. But there was so much to hear on top of the table. Who cared to look down under it? There was so much on top. Who wants to look under the table? The people don't chop what's on the top of the table. Look under the table. Baruch Hashem, we were Sigven was to that. Baruch Hashem was much more of a populist. He was all over the world. The Maggid Mizrich had a very elitist. His Talmidim were going to Oilam. Very big, mamish goyim adirim, the Balatanya, the Pichas Balafloa, the Rebbe Shvelke, the Levitza Berdish, they were goyim adirim. Mamish, yeah, so they understood what's on top of the table, get the Mifsim. So I was for me, Mifsim is like almost like an analogy. But when I learned this Rabban, I realized that even Moshe Rabbeinu needs a shtickle Mifus or two. That's what I'm trying to say. So that gaiva of a little boy in Crown Heights, yeah, wake up, child. It was an extremist. It's good education, but it's not balanced. The Chachma is that even Moshe Rabbeinu needs a Mifus. See, isn't Ramban a beautiful book? That Moshe Rabbeinu also needs a Mifus. He says, "V'dailo leMoshe b'shtei oisos, v'lo yashamayim al ken tzivosh is oishlish le'nei ha'am." Basically, at the end of the day, Moshe needs two. The Am needs more. They need more Mifsim. You're telling me philosophy, which midah, tachlis. You know what I mean? You need a shtickle achsid shemaisa for what? To be experiential. They want to feel this, basically. They want to experience it. They want to see it with their little eyes. Now, I know a dogma I gave to someone today, I smoked from the age of 15 plus till 32, I think, something like that. Hadn't smoked since then, but I remember since then. You really think I didn't know the science? I got things for you. Don't think I should be on that by now, okay? Now, I knew the science, okay? I knew it. I knew the statistics and the science. I smoked, man. 2 packs of Dunhill Red a day. I smoked a lot. Okay, like I remember Seis Kechavim was like a very chashva time in Shabbos. That's when you light up with your dunhills. It's a good cigarette, by the way. If you're going to do it, that's a cigarette, but don't do it. I don't know if it exists anymore. It's a very famous firm, Dunhill. But it was I stopped. How did I stop? Because it became vivid and real to me. I simply saw tissue. I'm not going into the whole story. I was shown by a friend of mine tissue of the pink tissue, gray tissue, speckled, and black. This is what you were, this is what you will be, and this is where you are now. Now let me show you an x-ray of your lung. Okay, see that? See that? Okay, that is the onset of emphysema. Now it's okay with me. You can probably live to 50. You know what I mean? But you may choke between 50 and 60. Okay, so the text is now you see it's shaykh to you. It's vivid and real. It's not just some cerebral, but there's statistics, blah, blah. No, it hits home when it becomes muchashi. Okay? So I know b'chush that's true. So I didn't chapis bias without the science, but with the science it became vivid and real. Went cold turkey. No patches, no beads, no nothing. Just cold turkey. Just dropped it, finished, and I blew up like a who knows what. But I dropped it. Gendigt, haloch. No one believed I would do it. I did. No games, nothing. Okay, very simple. Because once it walks away from cerebral knowledge into emotional intelligence because of vividness, it's emes, and it stays there, and you just make the move. Nothing will make you move just from cerebral reality, friends. Cerebral reality has to have some kind of a vividness for it to govern your life. It's a very big yesod. So we do need this. So Moshe Rabbeinu needs 2 mifsim. I think we need a little more. But I repeat, but he can't start with the mifsim. That's the emes. But if the mifsim are enhancing the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu, then you're talking business. And there's a big kuntus, the Mittler Rebbe, on this kuntus I aspire, which one day, if I had like 10 balei das, which are willing to break their backs, that would be a great thing to teach. Maybe in my older age. Still young. But that would be a thing to learn. But that you need people that are willing to be Yogea. Very hard book. So this is the reality. So I've come to learn from here, I've come to learn that even Moshe Rabbeinu needs chizuk, of muchashiyut. I've come to learn that Kadosh Baruch Hu says you want to have the ultimate knowledge of God, experience of God. It's not the cerebral knowledge, even though God will tell you his philosophy. Tefillah will be the ultimate muchashiyut of God's existence. Now we had the 2 Rambans, and here you have in front of you. He said, this is the Raya G'dayla. Here, Raya G'dayla. I'm going back to the first place. Yesh Elokim b'Yisrael krovim eleinu b'chol korenu elav. V'yesh Elokim shoftim ba'aretz. True davening, if it's done correctly, will generate a certain reaction. Now let's understand this for us. We're not tzaddikim g'daylim. Let's understand what tefillah is for us and how tefillah can be an experience of vividness of God reality. How does tefillah enhance God awareness? This is clearly what's coming out of this Ramban, that tefillah is a tool for God awareness. And the Tanya elaborates this really at length, mamish at length. He goes by Archov. I went to this at the Bekitzer to explain the Seder of the Tefillah, Psukkah, Zimra, Krishma, etc., as an Akdama to finally daven like a human being. I mentioned to Yitz today the hardest tefillah of the day is Mincha. Out of the blue, you just start saying Shemona Esrei. It's like impossible. At least Ma'ariv has something to think about. Krishma, Yuchad Hashem, Avos Hashem, Schar V'Oinish. Shachris, thank God, it's long, About tiny is the normal Shachris should take something like 3 hours. Yeah, but obviously that's in the Geras HaKodesh. But that's obviously not what's happening here. Okay, but das is gedavent, you know what I mean? But everybody, I'm not saying, I don't think things are judged by time. They're judged by intensity of what you're doing. Okay, so the reality is that you need a preparation before you stand in davening. What are we looking for when we daven? Maybe this will help me understand how I too can use this tool of tefillah for enhancing my chizuk emunah or chizuk my yediyah. I'm going to say it again. It has to start with the yediyah. And that's why Lamais and interesting on Malga that I learned in Lubavitch from as a child, mamish, that we used to learn like an hour chassidus before davening. I'll never forget, probably the best davening I ever had in my life was when I was 12 years old, and I was, you're going to laugh at this, they had 10 scholars in camp. I was one of them, okay? I mean, my job was to learn all day, and it was like, there's like 2 learning sessions, like 40 minutes each or something like that, half an hour. I had this kid I was doing olive bays and siddur with, like if Schechter doesn't NCSY. Okay, so I would, right? I've seen him do it. Mamish does it. Olive bays, siddur, he'll read Superman with you, and he's unbelievable. So when I was younger, I was this. They had like 10 guys like this. They were all a bunch of big gorillas. I was the baby, and they were all like 15 years old. When you're 12, 15 looks like you're already like a kid not going to get married. So I was a little kid. That was the little pipsqueak, whatever it's called. And so I also tutored people. I tutored this little kid. I still remember his face. I got his name. It's like 12 years old. It's a long time ago. And this was in Gan Yisrael in Michigan, near Detroit. That's where I was in camp. I remember this too. And that's what I did. So I remember Shabbos morning, Lubavitch, the minhag is you daven not that early on Shabbos. Because officially you're supposed to put away like 3 hours of chassidus. I'm not talking about the Balabatim, but the Tmimim, the Bachrim, we have to learn the Reich of chassidus for davening. It's a chana l'tefillah. So I was a little kid, how much chassidus did I know? There's a little kutta Torah that, but I decided, no, I'm doing it on my own. I hate to say I didn't care too much about tefillah b'tzivur at the time. Typical chassidish bacher, okay? It wasn't part of my agenda. And I remember waking up very early, going to the lake. It was an Eruv, mikveh, okay? Towel, the works. And then getting out, sitting on a bench and just looking at the mountains and the lake. It's very beautiful when they're by the nets, in a sense. It's really beautiful up in Michigan. And I just started learning chassidus. I still remember, learning chassidus, and thinking about it, walking around. I don't know, whenever I finished, I started davening Psukkah de Zimmer. It took ages. Okay, I decided I want to understand everything I'm saying. A little boy, okay, how much did I know to ask at the time? A kind, a 12-year-old pumpkin, it doesn't matter. I just remember that was the most beautiful davening I ever had in my life. I always think of that, wow, there's a once in my life I davened. Before Bar Mitzvah. Afterwards, I'm a sinner like everybody else. Once in my life I davened. It took me hours, but it was, sometimes you have these experiences which form your future. That was probably one of them. Actually, once in my life davened. I didn't fetch, make funny faces. You ever see these people in Rosh Hashanah that looked at God is putting pins and needles in their shoes? What are you doing? Would you talk that way to the president? Maybe to Trump. You know what I mean? What are you doing? This is like, this is like totally, whatever it is, it's not what should be. It's not what's supposed to be. Okay, you're supposed to daven with das. Okay, with das, but you're free, you're serene. It's great when no one around. I Ramish experienced then, and when I learned years later, a mimer of Reb Nachman. Reb Nachman writes that if you daven in nature, so he writes, nature helps you daven. He writes, we call Siach HaSodeh. Siach HaSodeh, why is Siach HaSodeh called Siach HaSodeh? Miloshen Sicha. And the pasuk Vayetze Yitzchak LaSuach BaSodeh means tefillah. Yeah, why did Yitzchak go into nature? Because it's true. I can testify to it. When you're davening in nature, you almost feel like Perik Shira, like all of nature is saying Psukkah de Zimmer with you. If you say Psukkah de Zimmer, you feel the trees are saying Psukkah de Zimmer with you. Did you ever read Perik Shira in your life? You know what I mean? You read Baruch Nafshi. Read Baruch Nafshi and daven that way. Okay? And that's an unbelievable. If you learn good before and you know what you're talking about and you know what you're looking at, you suddenly feel it all over in every mizmor. It's a freaking experience. I repeat, I'm sorry to say, that was the only time in my life I ever experienced anything like that. 3 hours shachris. And that's what the Rebbe writes in the Gir Sakaish. That should be a regular event. Okay, first day. Halava, you know what I mean? But I just want you to understand that's what davening was. Did that make things vivid and real to me? Much more than anything before or after. Okay, that's a true experience, okay? It's maybe because I was young, so I had certain tmimus, and that helps, okay? I was always a cynic, but less at the age of 12 than now, okay? You know what I mean? Now I'm a seasoned one, okay? Then I was still fresh meat. But really, that's important. So when I see this Ramban and I say the idea that tefillah can be conducive and inducive to everything to avoid to Yediyas Hashem, I don't know what he means. But it has to be experienced. Experienced like Moshe Rabbeinu needs the experience. So let's try to understand what davening can help us. I think it's very important. It's probably late. Oh, do we stuff like another half an hour? You guys have patience? I don't know. If you guys got to go. I don't want anybody to hold here if you have a Seder or a Charusa. I'm going further. So the Rambam says, La'alacha, Chamisha Dvarim Ma'akim Tefillah, in source number 3, Afa Pishi Giaz Manat, which are what? Tyrusei Yadayim, number 1. Very important. I could go into each one of them, explain Al Pi Machshava, but I'm not at the moment. Tyrusei Yadayim is super important. Because you know what it's like? You probably don't know... it was December 25th just now, wasn't it? It's great to live in Israel. You don't even remember. It was 25th. Yeah, well, it's going to move now. Okay. Do you know whoever washed their hands, Pontius Pilate? You know anything? You don't know. Forget it. I don't want to tell you. But washing hands is a symbol of, okay, I'm finished with this. It's like my machroinim, you know. I wash my hands from all responsibility. I'm done with this, okay? When the, so to speak, in the mythology written by whatever Talmid of, the guy didn't exist. So it says over there that the Roman governor, he washed his hands from judgment and left it to the Jewish Sanhedrin. Oh, this couldn't have happened in pure history. It doesn't matter, but that's they steht dort in the Swarm. Okay? Okay, so you understand. So the idea of the washing was symbolic, because come on, I'm out of this. You know what I mean? I wash my hands with this. In Chassidus it writes that in Shilech, that first, Yisoid Kabbosa Malchus Shemayim is Atilas Yadayim. Mar says that right, so you kabbalah Malchus Shemayim be'emes, Yifane, he should let go of all his toxic waste, understand yourself what it means in your metaphor. Like free yourself from all the extra baggage which is not really you. Are you capable of doing that? Like cut away the smileys that your mother put on your face. You're supposed to smile because it's appropriate at a certain time. You're supposed to go like this during Shemona Esrei, Anases Me'tshuva, or you know, you know, these guys that look like they're constipated during Rosh Hashanah. Okay? No, that's not you. That's a lie. Don't lie. Daven like a healthy, normal, you would normally feel you would want to daven on your own. Walk away from anything you were programmed with. That's cool, okay? Just be you, a naturel. Just keep your clothes on, okay? You know what I mean? Okay, that's all you have to do, okay? That they have to do, okay? You find it, like empty, let out all the excess baggage which is not really internalized, become who you really are. You got a lot of that. Very simple. You find it. Afterwards, yirchitz yoda. Wash your hands from that. Divorce yourself totally from it. That's Til Shaddai. You understand? Divorce yourself totally from everything that happened before. Now you're standing in front of God. Like, it's like saying, first, take a good bath before you go on a date. Okay? Like, clean the grime and the grease. Remember, I told you guys with the tube of glue, it's all the same idea. Okay? First, clean the surfaces before you try to put it together. Okay? So that's what it says. That's Til Shaddai. Kisra erva, well, I can't. Okay? Tyrus makam atfila, it has to be an appropriate place for a date. You don't go to a dump. Why do you need all these things? These are all things which are supposed to induce, conducive to induce, literally, in you, a sense of God awareness. That's what you're doing. Yifane, ito yoda. Okay? That's v'nikoyin aguf. That's Allah. It's ma'akev and tefillah. Okay? That's the Lashon Gemara in Brachas. Now, what's ma'akev? So he says ma'akev is teres yadayim, kisra erva. Yeah, it means to say you're standing in front of an honorable presence. You need kisra erva. Okay? Well, erva implies the idea of that which is you, which is totally self-expressive. Excuse me, this is a place where self-expression is not the mode. Adrab, it's supposed to be bittul and kniya. It's myra. Kisur erva, because it's the opposite of self-expression, free self-expression. En kazeh davar po. Po nichnaim. So that's why kisur erva. The tumah of erva is because it's expression without cheshbon. Kisur erva means, okay, close up shop. Okay, now it's time for bittul. You know what that bittul means? Negating this. This is not a place of you expressing yourself. Tefillah is not for you to express yourself. Tefillah is for you to understand that you are totally dependent and you are a relative existent. That's what you're encountering. You're encountering the supreme source of all, which you are nothing more than an expression of his will and whim. You are declaring that I'm totally dependent on you and nothing else. Because that's what you did in all those brachas. It's a declaration of dependence. And therefore you did kisha erva to close the idea of your natural declaration of independence. So Yitil Shadayim, and I repeat, how can this all start? I'm adding a little on this. Yeah, Yifane. Yirchitz Yadav. Then finally, hey, kisha erva. Now that you know who you are and what, now we have you, but you, not the expressive mode. And then Tyrus Makmat Tefillah, because you're about to engage in the idea of Oymid Lifnei Ashchina, it's got to be a place which is proper. Now, what does this mean? Does God make a difference for God? No, but it makes a difference for how your mindset is. You are a bus of Adam, and for you, certain places it means say covered, and certain places are denigrating. Now, Klapi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it doesn't matter, believe me. Okay? But as far as to be moilid a machshava belev, a muchashiyut, of a vividness of God awareness, Tyrus HaMalkam is important. And obviously, dvar machayvzim, what does that mean? If you're in a situation where you have to talk fast, that means you won't be able to focus. We want you to really mean what you're saying, not just rattle it off like a telegram. Mean it. And then finally, Kavanas Halev. What's the Kavanas Halev? Well, we all know the Rambam is here. I think he didn't focus it. The Rambam is here. Rambam writes in Perik Halacha Tesvav, in that same Perik. Wait a minute, Perik Dalid. Here it is. So the Rambam writes in Perik Dalid, Tesvav, he says, what is the kavanah that we're talking about? So the Rambam, here we are. Yeah. Kavanah Zalev Keitzad. Aleph. Let's get this straight. Called Tefillah She'ena B'Kavanah Eina Tefillah. Period. V'im yispalel below Kavanah, Chozer u'mitpalel b'Kavanah. You would use the mitzvah Tefillah. This is another pashut. Matzah da'ato mushubeshet v'libo tarud. You have something on your mind. People have many things on their mind. Also, I suggest learning breathing techniques and meditation for this. I'm not joking when I say this. Many people are worried business, especially mincha, shachris, and you had a night's sleep. Ma'ariv, the office is closed. It's too late anyway. We'll worry about it tomorrow. Mincha in Manhattan is a groise kasha. You think I'm joking? I know. Sometimes I wish they had the Kiddush Club at Mincha. Maybe that would help them a bit. You know what I mean? I'm not joking. Mincha is a problem. You're in the middle of finals, okay? What do you do with me? You chapa mincha, right? You chapa mincha. Not yet tefillah anyway. He said before, it's usher. Why is it usher? You know why it's usher? Because the next halach, you're supposed to be davening with the God awareness. By davening in a way that you don't have God awareness, you're saying it doesn't matter whether he's here or not. Das ist chir v'giduf. Doesn't matter, he's here, not here. I'm doing my thing. Doesn't chir v'giduf. God is here as much as you're aware of him, and if you don't care to be aware of him, you just rattle off words without an awareness, you say, there's a difference. It's like saying, I don't know whether he's here or not, what's the difference? He doesn't listen, or he does listen, Excuse me! Tefillah is supposed to be your encounter with God within the God awareness. How can you dare start wrapping around words without having the capability of having God awareness? It's usher. What's the isser? Basically, it's begetter isachir v'giduf. That's what it is. It's ein ze mevorach elamanayitz. That's what it is. Lefichach habom in aderech v'hu ayef o meitzar asur lo litpalel atiti yashev da'ato. Relax. You ever get these guys that haven't slept the night on a flight and they run off to catch a minion and they're like falling asleep with their tefillin? Okay, I see them sometimes in the white shul when you take the flight, when you land. So they say, guy, go to a cold mikveh first by Spiegel over there. You go to a cold mikveh, you wake up. What are you doing? You're the second minion. No. I got to go to the office. This is heavy. And they were so sensitive at the time and traveling was so rough. 3 days you relax before you dare daven again. How tefillah was chashuv to have this sense of God awareness that degenerated after a heavy caravan, which probably took you like these Marco Polo trips, which took you forever. You need 3 days to relax before. That's when I say mincha is a hard tefillah. I know it's a hard tefillah. The only thing is the Ramah says people aren't mechavim today anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's what he writes. But it's not mutter. It's begetter avera sheshana by nasus like a heter. It's not mutter. It means to say if you're not breaking your back to get somewhere, you're in bad shape. The next halach, ketzidi akavana sheyifaneh libo mikol hamachshavot. Are you capable of emptying your mind from all thoughts? That's really meditation, or really relaxed thinking. V'yireh atzmo ki'ilu omed lifnei hashchina. What does that mean? Shechina means to say not the God of philosophy. I repeat, but the vivid God of experience. That's what Shechina means. Shechina means the God we can experience, the God of science, the God of math, the God of the beauty of nature. It's the God of Psukkah de Zimra. Did you ever meet him? The God of Psukkah de Zimra is the God, which you understand is actually the God of the profoundest philosophy, which is Shema Yisrael Havai Elokeinu Hashem Echad. But you started by expressing, the God I had in Camp Gan Yisrael. Siach Hasada God. Baruch Nafshi God. You know what I mean? I suggest you spend the night gazing at constellations as Achana L'Tefillah. You think I'm joking? I'm serious. Or things like that. Yeah. That's Omed Lifnei Hashchina. Okay? Every person, even just going, you have to relax. Before you go, you have to think a little bit before tefillah. You really have to, it doesn't happen as daitoi. It's libo, it means it has to become a vividness and a reality. It's an emotional intelligence. Etc., etc., etc. You can read the Rambam further. I'm not going to, this is enough at the moment. Okay, so we clearly understand that this is the halacha of kavanah l'tefillah. You're oimed lifnei hashchina, a God awareness. It's not just that the whole preparation. It's not just that God will answer me. In order for God to answer, you have to be in dialect with Him. For you to be in dialect with Him, you have to understand who you're in front of, and you have to conjure up that image. Now you can begin to understand why the Jews had to know who I'm talking to. God at the end redeemed them because of the tza'akosam. Did you ever read that pasuk in Chumash? Vayishmael kim tza'akosam. And tza'akosam, the Ramban says, because of tza'akosam, he learned to that tefillas barachmim merubim. Lashon Ramban. I have it written down somewhere. I wrote it down somewhere. See, is this Ramban? Yep. Look at Ramban Shmois Beis Chav Daled Chav Hey. Kibot Filasam Berachamim. Because of the tzah, I don't have it here. You look at Shmois Beis Pesach Chav Daled Chav Hey. Yeah. They had to know who to daven to. Who are you screaming to? It's not enough to say Kela V'Seichem. I want to name it because I have to relate to somebody. The whole idea of tefillah is I'm in a dialogue with God. Well, which God? G-O-D, man. No! You really want to know Him, like, what are you talking about? You have to know what you're talking about. Who are you experiencing? Not just that. It's got to be the Yasher Matid Levava Yavin. You have to really internalize and experience that. The whole chefza of tefillah is an encounter with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So who are you encountering with? I repeat, that's the whole idea of Yifana, Yitel, Yodav, etc. Ultimately, to be Omed Lifnei Hashchina. Now, the halach is that's ma'akiv in tefillah. Rambam Paskin's Ladina that there's only the first three brachas. Granted. There's a shtickler of Chaim on that, which is, if you want to learn it one day, I can show you it's off the charts. There's no place anywhere in the Rambam that says you have to know Pirush HaMilos. Just want you to know. Reb Chaim makes two dinim of kavanah Pirush HaMilos that you need, so to speak, only the first three brachas, but Omer Lifnei Hashem you need constantly. If you find Pirush HaMilos in the Rambam, it's like a notzitz. Shaila, what bracha are you going to make? You know what I mean? Look it up and then come to me again, okay? The teretz is a davar pashut. What's the makkah of Pirush HaMilos? If you're Omer Lifnei Hashem, you're talking to him, you say a language you don't know what you're talking about. You're going to the president and he's speaking a language you don't understand and you're hoping he will relate to you. What are you, an idiot? Get out of here. Even the president now will throw you out. The din of Yediyas Pirush HaMilos is because you're Omer Lifnei Hashem. Not two dinim. It's an expression of the first halacha. There's no two dinim in the Rambam if you dance on your head and spit nickels, with greatest respect. Zechayin levracha, blah, blah, and all the good niceties. Okay, but you can look it up and then come back to me. Okay, that's a davar pashut. It's all Omer Lifnei Hashem. So to say this is for three brachas, that's not emes. What the emes? Ein chanami. Omer Lifnei Hashem is needed lechatchil ma'akeh for three brachas, because the ikar tzura of my first encounter with God is the shvach. Shvach and the kedusha v'ata kodesh. That's what it is. Weiter, we expect it to continue, but if you didn't last long, it's very hard to have that intensity the whole davening. Believe me, it's terribly hard. Okay, you know, if you get through another, I peter out by Gal Yisrael. Okay, but you know, Slach Lanu, I'm still good with him. You know what I mean? Hashivenu, I can last. It's hard. It's very hard. It's very testing. You really have to have tremendous achana to be able to have a mamish Omer Lifnei Hashem the whole davening. I don't know, maybe other people are more holy than me. I find it's a very hard job. Just to say Hashem's Fasai Tichtach with the Omer Lifnei Hashem, it can take time. It can be quite frightening. Depends how intense that Lifnei Hashem is. So sometimes you have a bigger idea, a smaller idea. After you did a very good Hakana Tefillah, you're going to have a longer idea. It depends, literally. Everybody is up and down. No one is, the straight line in the monitor is when you're dead. Up and down is normal, thank God. You go to the hospital, you find out. The monitor goes up and down, that means you're alive. It means you're climbing and you're folding, climbing and falling. That's what the reality is like. So always learn from a monitor. So this is the reality there. But yeah, so that's why three brachas ma'akev, because we think everybody can hold together three brachas. That's all. I don't see the question. Okay, so the chefzer tefillah is that, but God does. And this is that ma'akev for every time Dick and Harry, not just that he happens to know all of derech and tzedakah kuntus tefillah yisavenig. You know what I mean? He doesn't like say it together with Asher Yisrael. How much can you handle? So three is enough. Mishkin kasha. Does that mean the chefzer tefillah is something? No, the chefzer tefillah is that. But if you at least did that, so the remnants of that, the residue, which is normal, will continue enough for the rest of the tefillah. Where's the dugma l'kach? Dugma l'kach is the famous ritva which describes the din of Teich Kedei Dibur. When he says, what does the Gemara say? The Gemara says you have to walk out of davening. We have to show you Kedei Hilch Da'al Amis. Why? Because you're still in front of God. You didn't leave yet. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? But you stopped talking. So the Gemara says, Rechushim Merachshim Sifsei. I told you once. I tried it. Your lips are still quivering. Not true. I touch my lips, they don't move. I almost tried it. I want to see. They said the Gemara, maybe I don't realize what I'm doing. No, it's not moving. So why does the Gemara say it's moving? It's never pashi. It means psychologically it's moving. Psychologically, I'm still like in the aftermath of my encounter. So I'm still like there. So the metaphor of that is that your lips are still moving, which means to say your internal mind is still there. After Hilch Dal Dams, you've cooled down. It's like a heavy exercise that you do. You come off of it slowly. That's the idea of Dal Dams. It's also, where does that come from? Because you're Oimed Lifnei Hashem. That's what this is. Okay, it's late. I'm not going to continue all these Marmakomis. We'll do it next time. But reality is, we're beginning to understand why they wanted to know the name of God. If you want to be Omer Lifnei Hashem b'tefillah, well, who are you talking about? Is it the God of NCSY? Is it the God of, I don't know what, the God of fire and brimstone? I don't know, which God are you talking to? Or is it, so they really wanted to know because they didn't have a relationship with this God. Their relations were with Aries, with the Taleh, with the Kaves. They weren't, now they want to daven like a mensch. You want to talk to him? Okay, we'll talk to him. So I have to know who I'm talking to. How can you daven without knowing you're davening to? Okay? Why? Because tefillah has to have with that kavanah, v'ayim lifnei Hashem. So now I have to start learning chassidus before davening. Everybody wakes up 5 o'clock. You can come here, or I can learn chassidus from 5 to 6, and then we can daven at 6:15 if you want. Enough for the day.